This week I built the world's biggest go-kart, and it's awesome! This is a Toyota Hilux chassis. It's sitting in my yard, blocking my garage, and I really don't want to push it around anymore. So we're gonna turn this into something that can push itself wherever I want it to go. We're building the world's biggest go-kart. Over the last couple months, I've been building a massive project, and it's left me with a lot of spare parts, like this. That's an 18R carbureted engine made into a 5-speed transmission in a 2-wheel drive Toyota Hilux chassis. We're gonna turn this thing into a fully functioning, shifting, driving go-kart that might even be street legal. So let's get into it, get this thing going, and hopefully we can get it done before it's dark, because the days are short this time of year. First things first, we're gonna make sure this engine runs good still. It's carbureted, so it's pretty simple, should be pretty straightforward to get it running in the chassis again. But before I put a bunch of time and energy into putting seats and pedals in it, I wanna make sure that it's getting fuel from the tank to the carb, fires up, and runs decent. I got a battery. We're gonna start figuring things out, hooking wires up, and seeing if we can get this thing to start. So, this is power, this is ground. Got ourselves some keys. Cranks over. Now we got to get power to this side of the coil. I'm gonna go grab a wire so we can hook that up straight to the battery and see if it gets spark, because if it's got spark and fuel, it should fire up just how it sits. We got this positive feed for the coil pack that'll reach the battery. We're hooking it up. We'll probably have to interrupt it later so we can have a kill switch so we can turn this thing off, because, well, turning things off is nifty. Although it does have a manual transmission, so I can throw it in neutral if anything goes wrong. I'd like to be able to kill the engine. This should fire up now as long as it's still pulling fuel from that tank. It is rather cold, so let's pump the throttle a couple times. Look at that. That's cool. Okay. All right. So now we've got it fired up. All we have left is cooling, pedals, seat, and everything we need to make this thing actually move. But that was extremely easy to fire it up. I had a feeling it might be. Carbureted engines are kind of cool in that aspect. Now we got to figure out if it's still getting fuel from the tank, or if this kink is causing issues, or any other things might be causing issues. Oh. No wonder it's running bad. There's no brake booster, so there's a big old vacuum leak. I think I can solve that by taking this hose and stuffing it right there and bypassing the PCV. Let's just do that. Now the intake manifold to intake manifold, PCV to nothing, and I'll bet it runs a ton better without that massive vacuum leak. There we go. Now we gotta grab the supplies to make this happen. So I grabbed some scrap steel and a welder. We're gonna get power tools, a seat, the pedals, and anything else we might need to get this thing running and driving as the ultimate go-kart. We're gonna need that. That should work. Gonna need a couple of those. More scrap steel. Gonna need a couple of these. There's a clutch pedal. There's a brake pedal. Need that seat in here. Definitely gonna need this. I almost forgot about this. Definitely gonna need this. This would probably be nice. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be the first build in a long, long time that I'm not worried about anything but the bare, minimalistic functionality. So, it's not gonna be aesthetically pleasing, it's not gonna be safe, it's not gonna be really put together, but it's gonna run, it's gonna drive, it's gonna have a seat, and we're gonna have an absolute blast in it. We've got tools, we've got parts, we've got steel, we've got the welder. We're gonna get started on getting this thing together. First things that are most important is we need a steering wheel, pedals, and a seat that all need to go there-ish. I'm going to start with the steering wheel because it is going to dictate where everything else goes. I want to have a fairly comfortable seating position, so we'll get the steering wheel hooked up, then we'll figure out pedals and a seat and go from there. We got some uprights and a crossbar on here. Steering is bolted to it because I didn't want to weld to the steering column. And look at that. So now we're gonna move on to the seat. I set it here and immediately realized it needs to get lifted up quite a bit in order to make sense with where I put the steering column. And then we'll work on pedals. Pedals are gonna be probably the biggest pain in the butt to try and get on the chassis without a firewall. And with that, we're about wrapped up with the go-kart. So I went ahead, I mounted a radiator, pretty secure. We got to fill that with water still. I mounted the coil so it's not flopping around, fairly secure. It'll work. I also went ahead and moved the battery from up there to here so I could strap it to these bars that are going across so that it's more secure and not going anywhere. And then I wired up a tractor ignition just so I could start it and stop it from the driver's seat. So that's cool. We get everything worked out. The brake and the clutch are decent. I don't mind them at all. The gas pedals, well, the gas pedal is sketchy. We've got a gas pedal that's going to a strap that's going to a linkage that I extended. I added a secondary spring so that it doesn't get stuck. And I put the kill switch here in case something does get stuck or something happens. But we currently have a go-kart with a clutch and a brake. So we can go, shift gears, and stop, turn it off, and we've got a pretty comfy little race seat here. So all that's left is to fill the radiator with water and take it for a cruise and see how it does. I'm honestly super excited and also a little bit nervous. This isn't necessarily the safest contraption on the road, and I don't really plan on taking it on the road, although taillights and headlights would be cool. I've got a feeling the local police department would not like to pull me over in this thing and have a conversation with me. Although technically, this chassis and the body that was on it are currently insured and registered. So there is that. Radiator's full, zip tied those wires over. We're ready to take this thing for its inaugural rip. I'm stoked. This is gonna be epic. Let's do this. Oh. This feels so wrong. sketchiest thing I've ever built. Woo! Goodness gracious, this thing is violent. Oh my goodness. Oh, big hill, big hill.
Perfect. He missed me. Barely, but he missed me.
Oh my God. This is the most gloriously sketchy thing I've ever built. The way my throttle is designed, I've only got about 20% throttle. Oh, pwah. It's spitting coolant in my face. Oh no. I better figure out why it's spitting coolant in my face. Oh. Let's assess the coolant in face issue. Oh! I forgot a whole heater core line. I better get back before it gets too warm. Oh, this is such a blast. This is the most gloriously sketchy thing I've ever built, and I love it. I did not think I would have this much fun. Oh. All right, round two. This time I'm bringing my helmet because this thing is way too fast for a go-kart and also weighs so much more than a go-kart. So if something does go wrong, it's gonna go very wrong. So, yeah, helmet, that's the start. And I also fixed the coolant leak, tightened a clamp down, hose clamp, and adjusted my throttle because the secondaries weren't even opening, and now the secondaries still aren't opening, but we're getting more movement out of it. So, there's that. Oh. Oh my God. It is far too fast, has no suspension. Well, the suspension it does have is not designed for 0 pounds of preload. All right, going down the hill again. All right. Oh my God, I love this thing. god! It's got no shocks, so the suspension is so violent. It's got shocks. They just might as well not exist. This is one of the best things I've ever built. Oh my god, washboard, holy god! Oh, the washboard is violent. Where is it? Is this it? Yeah, there we go. I got my built, oh, there's a car. They looked at me like, what the f is wrong with this kid? Little do they know, I'm an adult! Think it'll do flat drifts? No. It does not do drifts on pavement. Will it do burnouts? Yes. It's so quiet too. I love this thing. This is the greatest thing I've ever built in half a day. The most glorious thing I have ever spent this little effort on. And to think, I did this mainly so that I didn't have to push this chassis around. Oh my god, you know how well the brakes work when there's no weight? Well, based on the massive amount of oil that just sprayed all over everything, I'd say I might have been going a little too hard. But I love this thing, it's awesome, and I can't wait to see what we do next with it. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and I sure hope to catch you on the next one.